Hi! Welcome to the State of Decay 2 stream. I'm your host, Jeffrey Card. Here's our guest this week. This is Lewis Mohr. He's a senior programmer, senior network programmer, among other many responsibilities that he has. And we're here to talk about co-op and answer questions about it and experience some of it, because we've also got another guest, SurrealScotsman.
Hello, everyone. How are we doing?
You can check out his Twitch channel. He streams a lot of State of Decay as well as, other things. He's an all-around cool guy, and he has volunteered to come in and share some of his co-op experience. I am a co-op neophyte. Like, I've played, as much co-op in this game as I need to test the game, but in my personal life, I don't play a lot of co-op, and I haven't played a lot of co-op State of Decay 2 since it's gone live. And so I'm kind of brand new to this experience, and so I'm sort of hoping these guys are going to be able to give us some some pointers. They're already playing the game though, so let's switch into that view so we can actually see what's going on.
So I was going to head over to this infestation and see.
That's kind of what I was hoping. My folks in my community right now are really unhappy about the number of infestations that we've let go. I think you've got some distractions and some firebombs.
I do.
And Scotsman has got an entire arsenal, I believe, at his disposal.
I think we just run in and start hacking and slashing. It's the best way to do it.
Yeah, one thing I was hoping we could get done too is taking out a few plague hearts, since he's got some fancy weapons that we don't have. But so you can see so Lewis has left a boombox out here to attract a bunch of the zombies, while Scotsman's gone inside to clean up the guys who didn't get pulled out.
Just one to go.
Oh, who's that guy?
I like the boombox music.
He's trying to get away.
Catchy.
That guy thought you weren't going to notice him.
Got any questions here?
Yeah. So I think Megan's still starting to collect them, but I can start paying attention to them, which is my job. Oh, so True Vulgarian asks, how difficult would it be to just view, not change, the host's base layout? I'd like to be able to see what they have so they can interact with their facilities. Because we made a conscious choice not to give you access to the base layout screen at all when you're a client.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that was the confusion over whether it should show your base layout or the host base layout. The client does not know everything about the host base, so it would be some work, but it would be impossible to give just a view of it. Yeah,
it's not a lot of times with questions of like code questions. Usually the answer isn't "we can't do that. That thing is impossible." It's usually "how much time do you have?"
Right. Like, we built this whole game in code. We can change that code. But, whether we can are going to allocate the resource to that, and whether or not we're going to break everything else in the process.
Yeah, because there's always a strong risk. Like if you've got a version of that screen that works for the host, and then you want to make a version of that screen that doesn't work, that works in a totally different way for the client.
Right. That's
actually a big deal. It's not as simple as just turn it off. Like, there's no turning it off is a meticulous and possibly error-prone process, right?
Yes. Yeah, there are a lot of things can go wrong. I think one of our programmers said it's like operating on a game that's already done is like remodeling the bottom floor of a house of cards that's on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can get tricky. I'm gonna try and get over here to this truck so we can go check out this blood plague node.
Oh, yeah, wow. This would be destroyed, I think.
Boo. Oh. I like this weapon because I can't see the blade when I'm swinging it. It looks like I'm hitting with a glow stick.
Gotcha Rager asks, if you join a host's game and they have power, will their lights show up in our game? I'm not sure if they mean like just if I'm the client running around in a host game, will I see their lights?
I would hope so. Yeah. If they don't, that's a bug.
If that's not happening, yes, please report that, because we want to fix it. Certainly, if you do go back to your own home game and you're not playing with them anymore, you hopefully should not see the lights on, because your game should be your game, when you're in it. It shouldn't be affected by decisions that are made in somebody else's unrelated game.
Did I leave my car over here?
True Vulgarian wants to know what triggers the lights to turn on in the first place. I think it's if you have base-wide power, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think generators also provide power.
That's right. So if you've got a generator attached to a particular facility, the lights in that facility will turn on?
I believe that is the case, yes.
I think that's how it works. We could be wrong. Brian could be somewhere watching us and flipping out because we're getting it wrong. But I think that's how it works.
Well, we can fix it. We have the power. So.
So, Han Solo Dolo is asking about kind of a GPS-style feature. Would there be a way to add some kind of direction help on the mini-map when traveling to a waypoint, like in GTA 5?
Like following the network of the roads rather than just blindly pointing.
We had something like that in Lifeline, but Lifeline was one giant loop, and so it was a very simple problem to solve.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely doable. We have some sort of high-level pathing constructs across the map to help NPCs find their way home. We could tap into that, but it's just more code.
Yeah, and the thing would be, the trouble is, like, I mean, one thing they always show, they show like the line tracing your route along the roads in those games.
Right.
Partly because I think they want to avoid the confusion of putting an arrow on the screen that's pointing a road direction when actually a waypoint is in a different direction. Like, if you can look and see the waypoint in the world and see it's off to the left, but the arrow is pointing you straight ahead, you might just get confused, right? Like,
right.
It feels like it's one of those features that you can't just do halfway. You have to either do a full-on GPS thing or just don't even try, because you'll be totally miscommunicating with people.
I mean, one thing is that all the roads are actually placed via splines, so we already have a line that follows every road.
I guess that's true, huh?
But it's just a matter of, whether or not that's hooked up to any other system for us to look at. So,
I wonder if you guys have any gas.
No.
No. Living dangerously. Nope, that's not really a way through.
We could just make an outpost somewhere and grab some fuel from the locker.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
This car's basically dead anyway. We should just,
Yeah, I don't mind. So one thing that is nice is the fact that...
That was not good. That was
you know what? I don't think I gave you any heals, actually. I just realized I didn't fill your... Yeah, you just got offensive stuff.
Cool.
I didn't give you any... So, that'll be cool.
Let's take out this blood plague node.
So there's a little bit of inside stuff. We used to call them blood plague nodes when we first...
sorry.
No, that's totally fine. It's not a secret or anything. We called them blood plague nodes when we first came up with them, and then we started calling them plague hearts once we saw what they looked like. And like, oh, that's a heart. That's like some big nasty piece of inside guts that you gotta fight.
Do you, Scotsman, do you have the equipment to take this out, or?
I've got the 50 cal here. I should just grab it here.
Oh, okay.
Gotta figure out like what window are we aiming at? Is it in that room right there?
Oh. Okay. Oh. Take that, red coat.
E50 FG for the wing.
Yay!
You need to nerf that again. You need to take that clip down to 4 instead of 5.
How many shots did that take?
It's got 5 in the clip, but 1 in the magazine, so it's 6 shots to kill the plague heart.
Oh, so you can take. So basically, you can still kill a plague heart without reloading.
With the B50, not with the Timberwolf, but you can still do it with the B50.
Okay, see this is the kind of stuff that we can only pick up by somebody who plays the game a lot and at home.
Get out! Why can't I get out?
Oh no! Oh no! Don't worry. It is a tradition to get my characters killed, especially if I'm the one who worked out their inventory and didn't give you any heals.
Well, what
Is that one yours? Yeah. Okay, good. Yes. I've only got a little bit of an injury there. You got a couple of characters back at base you can still use, so it'll be fine.
Might as well scout this place real quick.
So, Full Fury has a mission-related question. They ask, the way the game is built, is it possible to add new acts to the story? Like, we have, find a base, kill plague hearts, legacy. Is it possible to add more big story acts in there? So, if we were to add more acts to that particular story, I think it could be kind of disruptive. Like where would we add them? We can't add them to the end because the legacies are all about the process of ending the game and bringing that community to a close.
What sport is this?
I could imagine what?
What sport did this trophy?
Discus.
It's got a ring.
I don't know. I have no idea. We gotta ask someone. That's fascinating. Maybe that's like I don't know. Yeah, ultimate frisbee. I'm saying ultimate frisbee. But anyway, like we could. It's conceivable that we could add additional steps along the way, and sort of expand it out. But it's just, there's a lot of risk there. You know, like when we were very first implementing the current structure of the story, it was very fragile, and things would go wrong all the time, and legacies wouldn't fire off. Occasionally, people still run into bugs where a legacy will not fire off for some reason, and it can be very difficult to get all of these. You know, we've got a lot of spinning plates, you know, involved in the mission system. Lots of things that are trying to happen all at the same time, and trying to make sure they happen in the right order with the right, you know, stimulus. And adding more stuff in the middle would make it more fragile. And so we would have to, you know, make a choice like that extremely carefully if we were going to try to, you know, start throwing spanners into the works with that kind of thing. However, that doesn't mean that we couldn't do something, and this is not making any specific promises, but, you know, for future expansion packs, you know, there's no reason why we couldn't do an entirely different kind of structure for some other game mode or something like that. So, I mean, there's definitely room for there to be other experiences in State of Decay besides the current standard story structure that we have in the core game, and we'll just have to see what opportunities we have, you know, in the future to exploit that.
Got a gas can.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. We're just barely eking by. Just like, this is exactly what the zombie apocalypse is supposed to be like, right? Just sort of barely eke by, just get exactly what you need at the last possible minute.
Do I just pour the gas on top? I don't know where the... Oh, there it is. Okay.
So, Blaze Experience has a question. Yes, how was moving from one map to another designed? Were there alternative ways of doing this before the Research New Territories method was settled on?
Yeah, I mean, we had some early proposals that, like, moving maps might be something you do all the time. It might be that, like, you temporarily go to a map for, like, a mission and come back. Ultimately, in terms of like scoping and just like, also, you know, our load times for getting into a map are not fantastic, and so you know, hopping into a mission through a 1 minute load time to get to a 2 minute mission seemed, you know, ill-conceived.
Yeah, so, not an efficient use of our players' time.
Right. So we went to this model here. You know, we really kind of tried to mostly design it for people who just wanted to keep playing forever. You know, eventually you run out of stuff on a map. And some people just, you know, they don't have an interest in completing the mission. So we want to make sure that we had a way to do that. We did want it to be more multiplayer. Right now you can't do it in multiplayer, but, you know, it's... ultimately we decided single player was good, and we had some technical issues with changing to multiplayer, so...
Oh!
No!
That's the problem with not having a door.
But yeah, I mean, it's... You know, it went under some revisions. Nothing too crazy. I think the plan was always to do it through the radio command center to find the maps, and you know exactly what that meant when you found a map, you know, has changed a little bit, and I'm sure we might revisit that later. But
yeah, who knows? I mean, like I said, you know, there's going to be, you know, future expansions where we can do all kinds of things with the structure of the game if we wanted to. Just the question is, you know, what's going to be the right choice? What's going to be the most interesting to the audience? And so, yeah, there's lots of opportunities there. But yeah, for right now, the idea was that, you know, you wanted to support, because it's really interesting, because a lot of the time when you're designing a game, you think about who is my audience, right? Think what's the kind of person who wants to play this game, and how are they going to be playing it? Are they going to be playing, you know, short sessions, long sessions? Do they expect a game to finish in 10 hours? They expect to play for hundreds of hours? And you nail down one and you say, okay, this is my audience member. I'm making the perfect game for this person. But with State of Decay, we recognized that, you know, with the original game, there were people who played it a lot of different ways. You know, there were some people who would take one community and they would just spend as long as they possibly could in the first map. One of the things that those players loved about Breakdown was the fact that they could play for a really, really long time without having to give up their community and start over from scratch. And so we knew we had those players, but we also had players who did just complete a story quickly, feel satisfied, and move on. And who wanted that kind of experience. And so we ended up sort of splitting our attention between two different play styles. One play style where you just maintain a community indefinitely, and one where you charge after your objectives and you get them done as quickly as you can. And we wanted the game to be rewarding for both. And so the map moving feature is mostly there. It does actually, it's not very helpful for people who want to blast through the objectives quickly, because that's much easier to do if you never move maps and you just stay in one place. That feature is for the people who want to just continue making the game last for a really long time.
Do I not have any ammo for this gun? Does not look like it.
So Scotsman actually has a fair amount of ammo stored up. I don't know if...
if you need anything, just give me a shout. Yeah.
what 556?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so if you find
56.
it.
Yeah, so this is one of the benefits when Scotsman and I were chatting before the.
Oh, I'm sorry,
the
no,
stream. Oh, is it not?
762.
Oh, we need 762. Okay, we might be completely out of 762
Okay, my guy just happens to be holding some 5.
for no good reason.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah. Anyway,
Drop it behind you.
Scotsman and I were chatting about some of the benefits of co-op, and he pointed out that one of them was the fact that when you've got, I mean, I don't know, maybe you want to talk a little bit about the experiences you've had, being able to share resources with people and.
Well, there's basically co-op. There's 3 main ways to play co-op. One of them is jumping in and helping people with missions, killing off play carts, helping them with their legacies, or the other one is just jumping in with friends and messing around. And then the third one is just dumping lots of gear. So if you play a playthrough and you've got friends that don't have stuff, you can just jump into their games and help them out. And at the end of legacy missions, it's quite a good tip. If you complete a legacy, you lose all the equipment in your locker. So get a friend to jump into your game, dump all your stuff into their locker, load up your new game, and then get them to dump it all back. It's a
I
bit of a
don't
workaround.
think that method ever occurred to anybody at this office. That's pretty.
It's a good way to keep all your stuff.
That's pretty incredible. Wow. Okay, so hey, hot tip, guys, from Surreal Scotsman. That's pretty awesome.
You need to trust the person. I mean, they might just keep all your stuff.
Yeah, there's no
but
guarantee they'll come back, right?
You're going to lose it anyway, so there's no harm done.
Huh. I feel like there's some cool features we can implement in the future based around that. But yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. It actually does make me feel like there's a lot of opportunities because when you're somebody who like worked on the game and you've played a lot and you kind of know the details. It does seem like it's a wasted opportunity not to go out there and try to help people out. So maybe I need to sort of get out of my comfort zone, start volunteering for random flare summons and things like that.
Well, it's the kills track across both games. So if you're going for Xbox achievements, if you get kills in a multiplayer game, they track on your Xbox score as well. Plus, you get the multiplayer rewards. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get free stuff for doing the multi-rewards, plus you get all the kills added onto your Xbox score. So you really don't miss out on doing anything. It's better to play co-op than single player. It's more profitable anyway. You get more stuff.
And that was one of the goals too. It's like we felt like there's always sort of the intrinsic goal of playing co-op. I mean the intrinsic reward of playing co-op. It's just fun to play with your friends. And there was a period of time where we were thinking, well, maybe that'll be enough. Maybe people will just will want to play co-op together. And we won't need to give them any extrinsic rewards. But once we once we got into it, we really started realizing that there's a little bit of a problem, like a kind of a problem mindset that you get into when you're a gamer, where almost when you get rewarded with prizes for almost everything you do, you start to feel like you're wasting your time unless something's going to give you a prize, and it's not it's not like it's sort of a natural psychological effect. If everything you do is giving you a prize and then suddenly one thing doesn't, that one thing starts feeling like a giant waste of time. And so we ended up deciding to implement this entire scheme of multiplayer rewards because we felt like we really wanted people who are playing this game and are getting that constant feedback loop from the game, giving them rewards for everything they're doing. We wanted them to feel like playing with their friends was in that category. This is a thing that will give you rewards. It's not something you have to make a sacrifice to do. It's something that's profitable, like everything else you enjoy. Let's see here.
I think that's one thing. I've talked about this before on the stream. If you kill a play cart, I don't think all the blood zombies should die. It would make it a lot harder if the blood zombies stayed there.
That's true.
That
would make it a lot harder. Actually, that's I'll make a note of that. Not that we necessarily change that, but like I said, there's future game modes and things like that we've talked about that might be a worthwhile piece of feedback to keep track of here. So.
I'm all for making the game harder.
We've gotten that feedback a lot. Like, the more someone plays the game, the more they feel like they're kind of running into a wall when it comes to the difficulty scaling with their skill. And so we started the game where we felt like, difficulty-wise, where we felt like a lot of new players were going to want the difficulty level. but we need to start catching up with the folks who have really mastered the game and are looking for a greater challenge, and there just isn't one to be found in the game as they can see it now. It's really fun. I love it when a co-op player just runs onto camera with something going on that wasn't witnessing before. Like we're sitting there with Lewis, we're watching Lewis, and then suddenly SurrealScotsman runs in with like a zombie chasing him. It's like it's shot by a comedy director.
I think all that's needed, if we get a State of Decay 2 breakdown, I think that would be problem solved. I think we all love breakdown.
Breakdown was a really fun thing to work on because it was a pretty straightforward thing. I mean, there was a lot of little details we had to fix, but ultimately, sort of what it was offering was a pretty straightforward thing, and it ended up being simple, like just a simple addition that made the entire game. I think gave it a lot of its longevity. I think Breakdown was a pretty good move. So we've been keeping that in mind. I mean, Breakdown was the very first thing we did with the original State of Decay, post release, because it was really clear that was what the audience needed, and so we're having similar feelings about State of Decay 2. Not that it would necessarily be, State of Decay 2 Breakdown, like literally, because so many aspects of Breakdown made it into the current game. Like State of Decay 2 is full of Breakdown stuff, like being able to move maps and refresh them and trying to be able to play forever. It's got a lot of Breakdown DNA in it. So there's some aspects of Breakdown that would actually be kind of redundant if we tried to apply them to State of Decay 2. So it makes us feel like we need to kind of go back to the drawing board and figure out, okay, how do we provide this, that same kind of high difficulty experience? So we're working on that problem over here, and we'll have more to talk about at some point in the future, probably.
Okay. A couple of questions here.
Yeah, I'm falling way behind on the questions. Is there any particular one jumping out at you, or should I just grab the next one?
There was one about, let's see, is the host changing character supposed to teleport guests around the base? No, it is not. I think we do, in fact, have a bug in that we are working on.
Yeah, I think I saw that one go by.
It's basically the process of respawning. There's a gap between your old character and new character where it thinks your clients are really far away and it tries to tether them, even though they're right there. So, yeah, we're aware of that one. We're working on it. No promises when it'll be fixed.
There's one thing I'd love to see. If you're driving a car and you drive past a screamer, the car should veer off the road. It feels a bit weird that if you're driving along, the screamer doesn't affect the driver.
Interesting.
That would add some level of difficulty.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
I think at one point we used to make it so that whenever a screamer screamed, all the glass shattered nearby.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I think there were some performance concerns, though, with breaking all of the glass at once.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I think you've got a mission here. Talk to Kristen about her concerns. I don't know if you want more survivors.
Gotcha Rager wants to know, actually, going back to P1 Gamer also asked this question a little while back, is there ever going to be a first-person view in our game? I would guess probably not. The main reason being the fact that that animations, basically you need a completely different suite of animations for running a first-person character than a third-person character, and our characters have tons and tons of animations. In fact, a lot of our animations involve things like, you'll notice when you've got like an advanced swordplay skill, your character will spin around during one of their attacks, and if you're playing in multiplayer, everyone sees your character spin around. But what does your character see? Do we flip the camera around really fast? Or if we just don't do that, just keep the camera facing forward, how do you animate the arm rig that's visible on screen to represent that spinning move? And that spinning move is essential because, so many of the combat interactions that go on in this game have to do with, your character physically moving and physically impacting the zombie that's in front of them. Especially the moves that hit multiple zombies, things like that. It really kind of matters how the animation plays out. And so switching between two different animations that behave in two entirely different ways could be really problematic. Not technically impossible. I mean, you say, Grand Theft Auto has done something like this. Grand Theft Auto is much more of a gunplay game than a melee game, though, and our game is very heavily skewed towards melee combat. And that really does, make a huge difference. We've also got, a lot of... Whoa, that's pretty nice. We've got a lot of, navigation moves, things like, scaling walls, things like that we would execute completely differently in first person than we would in third person.
We found a trader that was trading his fireworks weapons. So.
Nice. So yeah, you're all just going nuts with the independent. By the way, if anybody was wondering, if anybody doesn't have the independence pack yet, and you're wondering what you get from it, it's these crazy things that Lewis is firing at the zombies. But let's see here. Gotcha Ranger had another question. Will there be any more traits or fifth skills? I know that for whatever, we can't announce when the next patch is going to be, mostly because we don't know. But I've definitely got, I made one change to a certain aspect of the game for the next patch that did involve adding some additional traits. Just a handful of them. You probably won't even notice. But especially once we get into the Daybreak zone and we start introducing Red Talon characters into the game, which is something I think we have announced as a part of Daybreak, is getting to play as a Red Talon character. Those guys, they have life experiences that most of us have not had, and so you'll see that reflected in their traits and in their skills. So look forward to that. I won't give you any details beyond that because we're still working on it, and we don't want to sort of spill it before it's real. But yeah, there's definitely room to keep expanding that system. True Vulgarian's asking about invisible zombies in multiplayer. If that's a thing we're aware of and fixed. We haven't seen. Oh. This is why we have Lewis on the stream, everybody. He says I haven't seen them. So there's your answer. I really don't think we can do better than that. Peter Taylor asks, any new zombies? That is a very interesting question that we haven't said anything about new zombies in our pre-release discussion of Daybreak, so there's nothing I can talk about, unfortunately. Man, that would be cool if I could, though, wouldn't it?
I think I'm seeing some invisible zombies here. I think it's just a bit of lag for the co-op player. So whoever's joining in the game is just a bit of lag.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
actually.
we've been doing ongoing network optimizations, bandwidth optimizations.
So this is the meat wagon that Brian called in when we were promoting the Independence Pack, and he got it stuck. He got literally every single car stuck on something. Okay. So I had to like wait for the I had to wait for the cooldowns to reset so I could start buying the stuff again, because you've only got 305 influence, so you can't pick anything up. You can do an artillery strike if you want to, but that's about it.
Doesn't get me to where we're going any faster.
True Vulgarian asks, doesn't the difficulty get higher with the day count? It's not actually the day count that causes the difficulty to get higher. Brian always wants to be really cagey about this one, and so I don't usually give any details about what exactly makes the difficulty go up. But yes, as you progress in the game, the difficulty does go up. It just doesn't go up high enough for a lot of our top tier players. So we realize that a lot of folks do want it to get higher than it is. Have the cap be higher. So I've noticed, by the way, you've had a broken weapon for a really long time.
Oh yeah.
Have you felt because you've got a co-op partner that maybe that's just not as big a deal as it normally would be?
Yeah, I mean it just broke a few minutes ago, but yeah, I mean also I got the Starshake launcher, so if I really need to kill a zombie, I can use that.
I guess it's true. No, I don't know. The other day I was trying to sneak up on a feral to hit him with that launcher, and I fired at him, and it just whizzed right by his head, and he came over and tackled me, and I was very disappointed in myself.
I should probably not mark that card here. Let's go over here.
So xblue555 asks, why does the bartender skill not let you make a still? And I guess my question would be, like, how many bartenders do you know, and how many of them know how to make a still because they've been a bartender? I'm pretty sure bartending is about mixing drinks, not about the chemistry that leads up to alcohol existing in the first place.
Booze is a whole career and lifestyle.
It just kind of depends, but I think that being a bartender does not necessarily give you the skill to build your own still. I think being a chemist probably does, but I wouldn't say that being a bartender gives you that. Now, there are definitely bartenders there who do have the skills to do that, but that's because I would say they have a different fifth skill at that point. They've got the chemistry fifth skill if they've got that. If somebody's just got the bartender's fifth skill, they're Tom Cruise in Cocktail. They're that guy. They're like, that guy doesn't have a still in his basement. That guy just he knows how to keep people happy right there at the bar. Thrill Seeker asks, if Daybreak introduces new weapons, will we be able to find or buy or transfer them into the base game somehow? That is another excellent question that I wish I could answer. Oh man. just, you know, we get closer every day to the point where we can answer questions like that. But that is a particular one that I think will be exciting to answer when we get the chance. That's actually a question that I had to put some personal work into answering, which is why I'm so excited about it. But unfortunately, can't say anything right now. So, Chill Shelf wants to know what our favorite guns are. His is the Chris Vector. Do you guys, Scotsman and Lewis, have favorite guns?
One of my favorite guns.
When you go, Lewis.
One of my favorite ones is there's this Deagle that's souped up. It's got a big scope, and it destroys things. But it's fun because if you miss, the zombie usually reacts and ducks out of your aiming.
Oh, really?
It's
because it's so loud. It's like
it's like blam, and then you're like, wait, okay, and so you can't you have to be very careful about what you aim at. And I just always thought that was a lot of fun. It's also Deagles are just kind of fun. I don't know what the official term is or official.
What the in-game name is? Yeah, because I think they might be called. Oh wow. Yeah, they do have they do have a different name in game, but I've forgotten what it was.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some lawyers right now who are upset.
No, that's fine. I think Deagle is not the formal name of that pistol anyway, so I think we're probably okay. Scotsman, what's your favorite weapon or favorite firearm?
The Eternal Guard's Infinite Rage. It's a 150 clip, 7.62 automatic rifle.
That was like it's like an Iranian AK-47 or something like that. I think
it's
I remember.
the souped up AK-47 essentially. You can get it from the Mysterious Wandering Trader.
So do you actually?
I think best gun.
Do you actually fire that in full auto, or do you keep it in single shot and just have it last for frickin' ever?
Single shot unless you're killing a play cart and then you stick it on full auto. But I would always just use single shot just to save ammo.
Yeah, that's basically how I always play too. I very rarely will put something on full auto unless I'm trying to try out one of the special advanced shooting skill abilities. When we in one of the recent patches we actually beefed up sharpshooting and assault so they would have stronger effects once you max them out. So sharpshooting now does crazy dismember damage, and assault does crazy knockdown damage. And so if you get something like the Infinite Rage or whatever that gun was called, and you open up on a horde at full auto, you'll just either see them all just get flattened if you've got assault, or you'll see all the legs and arms pop off if you've got sharpshooter. We actually did have a question about hordes. True Vulgarian wants to know about cases where, when you're in multiplayer, suddenly you'll be driving along and then a horde will just pop up and appear, right in front of you. I guess the question is just, what causes that? Is it a thing we're aware of that we're working on?
I don't know if that's specifically something we're aware of. I think there was a case where sometimes hordes would get created in buildings, and we weren't checking to see if you were in the building.
Oh, they just land right in your lap?
Yeah, and so I think that's something we looked at and maybe fixed. I don't know about the driving one. That may just be because of just streaming, it takes a while to load stuff in. We don't always have physics or navigation loaded for that area, and so we kind of do what we can to prevent that when possible. But yeah, I think we'd probably, if we can figure out why that's happening, we can fix it. But I don't think we have any specific bugs on that I know of.
Don't forget to turn your light on, by the way, when you get into dark areas, because it starts to look like there's nothing going on our screen. Because we believe in real darkness around here. So while you guys are poking around, actually we've got a giveaway to do. So why don't I let's switch into giveaway mode here if Megan's ready for that. So real quick, we've got a trivia question to ask you guys, and the prize for this is going to be a free code for the Independence Pack. So if you guys want a free code for the Independence Pack, think back to all of your State of Decay 2 trivia here, and get ready to go. We're gonna have, the way it's gonna work is, if you know the right answer, chime in the chat. We're gonna have one winner on Twitch and another winner on Mixer, so you're not competing directly with each other. And if a bunch of people all get the right answer at the same time, Megan is gonna do a random roll to determine who wins. So it's not necessarily the top person in the chat, because there's different people have different connections and lag and things like that. We don't want it to be all about who's got the best connection. We want it to be about sort of a lucky prize for one of the people who knew the right answer really fast. So let's just throw this up here. Here is our question for a free copy of the Independence Pack. Which base features its own Taekwondo studio? This is actually inspired by a recent episode of the Blaze Experience podcast, where Derek Blaze cited some of his complaints about the bases in Drucker County, and so this is that's kind of a hint actually. It's one of the bases in Drucker County. So if you know the answer, go crazy. It looks like we've got a few folks who know what they're talking about in the chat. So we will come back once we've got some winners. In the meantime, let's have a look back at the game. So where are you guys headed now?
Oh no,
I'm just being chauffeured around the map. It's nice and relaxing.
Yeah, I was going to go do this mission, but we just ran out of gas, so...
Car's going to blow up as well.
Oh, by the way, Scotsman, you're not eligible. I just thought I'd point that out. Scotsman got the right answer over on Twitch, but I don't think that counts, buddy. We'll see. You know, we'll see what else we can do for you. But nice try. Oh, by the way, I should give some credit where credit's due. We've also got, it's not just Megan who's helping us out with moderating the chat and keeping track of the winners. We've also got Jen helping out on Mixer. So thanks to both of you.
Looks like we're hoofing it.
Do you want to make one of these buildings an outpost? Have you got enough influence?
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, we do have just barely enough.
300 influence. I don't know if that's enough.
That's usually enough. Yeah, I think if it's just like a house or something, I think that's usually enough.
And then you get your influence back when you take it off anyway, so it doesn't cost you anything.
That's true. Yeah, I think you'll have to decommission one of our existing outposts, which might take some time. And I don't think I've got an open slot. I might have to open the base screen and. Oh, hello, buddy.
Hello. Oh,
I
didn't need that. Okay.
One thing I really appreciate about, I think we made the right decision when it came to avoiding friendly fire. So that one of you can be fighting a zombie hand to hand, and the other one can just be shooting straight through you. Just because, there's just so many bad ways that could go. If we didn't have that, people would be just shooting each other like crazy.
I probably would have killed you about 15, 16 times already. Wouldn't be a good thing.
Yeah, I would have killed most of my followers and community members.
Okay, there we go. Oh, another zombie in there.
All right, so Delta B2Z Delta O2 is very insistent that we need to answer their question, which is what is the best part about our job?
I mean, we get to make video games.
Yeah, we do get to make video games. Like that's. I mean, so I used to work at a studio that we made licensed games based on kids' movies, and none of the games that I made were games that I would play by myself, on my own time. If I was, I wouldn't have ever been interested in them. And so it wasn't like I was making my dream game or doing my favorite thing. But at the end of the day, I would always go home and be like, you know what? I make freaking video games for a living, and it's sometimes the hours would be killer, and it would just be destroying my life. And a lot of that stuff. I'm old enough now. I've got enough kids now. It's really important to me to maintain a work-life balance. But back then, when I was in my early 20s, I was like, whatever. I'll do any amount of work. I just want to be working on video games. And yeah, just sitting back and knowing you're working on video games, it's a big benefit.
Yeah, and it's also like, it's a bit of a rush to go to the conventions and meet all the fans in person. Nothing makes you feel like a rock god. Having these fans go, I love your game. And you're like, yeah. And then I go back and I edit text files all day. And, so
yeah, exactly.
There's
the work itself is not very glamorous. Moment to moment, it's not very. One thing I actually love is the fact that game teams are made out of we got lots of people who have lots of different expertise, and there are very few people in the industry who can actually do the entire job, every part of the job themselves. Now and then you get like indie people who really can do it, who can do the music for their game and code it and design it and write it and animate it and everything. But that's actually really, really rare. And so what that means is, you end up a lot of times having ideas for things that you can't do yourself, and then somebody else takes that idea and runs with it using their skills. And then something magically comes back to you. Whether it was just, you designed something and a programmer implemented it, you're an artist who suggested something to the designer that you're collaborating with, and then they came back and made it happen, or you're like any of those collaborations can result in, somebody else using their talents to make something that you contributed to in a way you never could have yourself. that feels really, really good. It's like if, you know, a lot of times when you're watching a movie and you're like, oh, what if this happens next? And then exactly what you imagined happens next. It's that same kind of rush. Okay, looks like we've actually got winners for our trivia challenge. So let's go back to trivia mode here. So the question was, which base features its own Taekwondo studio? And the answer, of course, is the Fortified Strip Mall in Drucker County. And so, Scotsman, you did get it right. But the people who got it right, who are going to be getting prizes for it, are Thrillseeker over on Twitch is going to get a free code for the Independence Pack, and over on Mixer, it's Zombie Killer Ma with 3s for the E's is going to get. So Jen and Megan will get in contact with you guys. You'll figure out how to deliver the code to you. But congratulations, and to everybody who got the answer right. I'm really impressed that you guys knew that off the top of your head. That's pretty cool. So. Thanks for participating, everybody.
Okay, cut fuel. Where do we leave our car? Oh, that's right.
So, Scotsman, like, are there any other, like, you know, sort of like weird experiences and things like that you've had in co-op? Whether it's a bug or whether it's you know, something good that happened because you were playing in co-ops, something that would, like, you know, I don't know, tempt me into wanting to play more co-op in my own life.
Driving with multiple cars in co-op is hilarious. It actually makes me laugh out loud. Some of it is bugs, but they're enjoyable bugs. It's like you're driving along and then suddenly you hit the side of a curb and your car will do 16 somersaults. That kind of thing. I love it. It's the kind of thing that just cracks me up laughing.
Yeah, one of the best times I ever had during development of State of Decay 2 was it was kind of early in our sort of final process of trying to hammer out all of the problems with multiplayer, you know, that we could before releasing. And we did this big multiplayer test where we got a bunch of people all playing in groups of 4 and just trying to race from one end of the map to the other in 4 cars. So we would get like the fastest souped up, you know, apocalypse vehicles we could and just go racing down the highway together. And it was during a period where we actually had a bug in the game where I can't remember exactly what caused it, but something would happen, something would get out of sync, and like maybe like the host would crash, or the host would die, something bad would happen to the host, and then the area of the map that was loaded would just be frozen, and so the clients could just drive off wherever they wanted to, and the map would just end. But the roads are a little bit different from the rest of the map. Like the roads are actually kind of just. When part of the map you'll zone out and that map will be dropped out of memory or whatever. I'm using the wrong terminology. I'm so sorry. But the road will stick around, and so it felt like we were driving on the Rainbow Road in Mario Kart because we were just like driving down this road with just like nothingness around us, and trying to race and knock each other off. It was a lot of fun. We decided not to ship with that feature in the game, but it was a lot of fun while it lasted.
And then what happens if you fall off the road? You just fall into oblivion.
Pretty much, yeah. The car would fall down. I think eventually you would get out of the car, and eventually your character would die and respawn somewhere else. So it wasn't completely fatal, but it was kind of weird. Actually, there was one version of the bug that I ran into where instead of part of the map dropping out and disappearing, it would just shift one grid square to the east and one to the south. So that you would end up with part of the map with just a giant gaping hole in reality, and then another part of that that's doubled up, so you've got like 2 mountains and 2 buildings on top of each other, and it got really surreal. Like I didn't want to leave. I was like, wow, this feels like some kind of trippy horror movie or something. So that was a lot of fun.
I've seen the Technicolor and other people's co-op games where they're driving along and then everything, the whole countryside just goes like Technicolor. It's like a rainbow.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of beautiful when you see it.
Sometimes when a game world, and you might be able to explain this better than I can, like basically has nothingness in it, those pixels just won't get updated. They'll keep their old color, and so as you pan across it, they'll just like leave streaks.
Yeah, and also like these days with advanced rendering and lighting techniques, the values that are there are not always like color values.
Sometimes they're like brightness and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and it'll like start building and getting like huge lens flares coming from it.
So when you start getting the math, everything can go wrong real quick.
Yeah, one of my favorite visual bugs we've had in the game prior to release was there was sort of this green color we would use for things that were not properly textured, and it was a bright green, and so it was actually a bright enough green that would cause lens flares to happen on the screen. And so you'd just be looking in some random direction. Suddenly, like, green light would be shining in your face and be like, blinking out the camera. And sometimes it would even happen on the main menu, the scene we rendered on the main menu. So you're like, what kind of game am I playing? What world am I in?
Good old laser rocks.
Laser rocks, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Oh, Full Fury asks about, can we get the ability to hotkey a favored emote? That is an interesting idea. That's going in my things I can probably never do file. But I'll write it down anyway. Because that actually was an idea that we thought of on this end too. It's one of those things where you design your absolute perfect, most complicated version of a particular feature, and then you have the amount of time that it takes to implement that feature, and certain parts of it just sort of drop out. So hotkeys for emotes actually was a thing that was on our list at one point, and I think it kind of dropped off the radar. So I'll see what we can do to put it back on the radar. No guarantee it will ever get into the game, but it will be on some radar at some point. That's all I can say.
Just to answer True Vulgarian, it's about once every 2 or 3 weeks I go through a new mouse. I do tend to hack and slash through them.
Oh, are you doing the thing where you like lift the mouse and slap it down again to?
My mouse is all over the place. Yeah.
Oh, reloading.
No.
Don't come after me. Oh god. Oh god.
Yeah, I love that.
There's bloater incoming. Just watch out. Screamer.
Yeah, on your right, Scotsman. Bloater. It's coming up behind you. It's chasing you.
No, I'm just gonna watch. Okay.
It's funny when they run and fall over. The first time I saw that was brilliant.
I don't think they did they do that in the original State of Decay?
I don't think they did that, but I think they would trip over fences and stuff.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, their climb animation was just fall over and die.
So Sarkoth asks, do you have a store where I can buy a t-shirt or hat with State of Decay logo? Would love to wear that during my live streams. We've been asking about that around here too. That's not something we've got yet in any kind of official capacity. We had a State of Decay 1 store around the time that we released the Year 1 Survival Edition. But that's old. That was stuff for the previous game. For the new game, we don't have an official store. I can probably unofficially tell you there are folks out there who have, probably not entirely properly made State of Decay merchandise at make your own t-shirt type places. So you could probably find something if you really tried, but I can't fully sanction that because it's not official. It's probably not even entirely legal. Feel free to spray paint your own though. You make a stencil and just do something on your own time. But yeah, no, we don't have anything like that yet. But it seems like the kind of thing that we ought to have someday, right? So I don't know. We'll just have to see. We'll have to see where that goes.
Oh, I never knew you could blow up cows. That's something new for me. I never knew you could shoot them and blow them up.
Oh, P1 Gamer asks, can we get more emotes for calling out zombies? So right now the taunt emote will get the attention of zombies, but I think it might be the only one, right?
That's the one that generates noise, but is he asking about saying, watch out, there's a freak?
I think he was most calling out zombies. I thought he meant calling out zombies like attracting zombies. But if he meant saying, hey, there are zombies over there, or there is a feral over there, maybe that's a whole different story.
Hey, there are zombies over there should be the A button.
Yeah, here there are zombies over there should probably be the sprint and attack button. Let's see here.
Yeah, the blowing up the cows thing was because there used to be a lot of cows everywhere, and you'd run into them and they wouldn't break. And so you'd be driving through a field and suddenly your car would just go BAM and just flip over. And so
you hit a cow by
so we decided,
the cow of Gibraltar.
Clearly the only thing we should do is make the cows breakable. So now we have breakable cows. So
now we have breakable cows is not a phrase I ever thought I would hear someone utter.
Utter?
As soon as it was coming out of my mouth, I knew that you were the audience for that, Lewis. Thank you.
Well, that's 6 hours more of content. I'm just going to go run around blowing up cows now.
It doesn't keep track, so there's basically infinite breakable cows. So, yeah. Yeah, there was a bug once with the breakable fences, and so I basically had to spend an hour just driving around the map trying to break every single fence. And it was great. I loved it.
That actually, it's fun.
Oh no!
A lot of the time, having to do rote testing for your job is actually, like, people are asking what our favorite part of the job is. A lot of times, rote testing for your job is one of the least fun things to do, because, like, you know, when I'm working on a mission and I have to play every permutation of the mission, every version of every series of choices you can make in case something breaks. I'm like, I've just played this mission 100 times, and now I have to play it 5 more times to see all 5 versions of how this mission could go, and I just want to die. But not every case is like that. Like one of my jobs was driving around and naming all the buildings, and that one was actually really fun. Even though that took a lot of time, basically I turned on a bunch of debug stuff so I could see sort of the internal name of each of the buildings, and then I would drive around, look at a building, find its internal name, and then go write a descriptive name of that building off to the side. And a lot of the time
what?
No, what? No. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. So what is even happening right now?
I'll push it off.
Oh, is that even a thing?
I don't think so. We can try.
Oh, almost got. Oh, yes.
There we go. That worked.
Yay.
I'll claim that one.
Thank you. We were just saved by the SurrealScotsman. We'll just pretend it was you pushing that made it happen.
Oh, of course, I tried to go up the same hill.
Yeah, I don't know what was that about. So Hades wants to know, in State of Decay, there's a good amount of mods for the game. As of right now, I think there aren't a lot, but how do you guys see mods for SOD2 at the moment? So yeah, there's not formal mod support for the game the way you see in some games where they're like right on the front end. You can just say, oh, which mods would you like to install? We didn't put the time into sort of supporting that level of mods. It didn't provide that level of mod support, but because our game is in the Unreal Engine, we kind of had sort of a hope that anyone who's interested in modding, that there's enough support out there in the Unreal community, for people to learn how to sort of crack in there and start messing with Unreal games. And there's a lot of expertise out there in the mod community for working with Unreal, and so we were kind of hoping that that folks would be able to kind of to make the mod scene work on their own without necessarily needing a lot of direct support from us. But modding can be kind of scary, especially in a game that's peer-hosted multiplayer, because it's entirely possible for somebody to mod their game to do weird stuff, and when you come and join it, weird stuff can happen to you. And so it's kind of a challenging question, right? Because the more direct support we put into the mod community, the more responsible we kind of have to be for making sure that people can't do terrible things to each other, like that guy is trying to do to Lewis. Okay, good. We got through that. Okay, thank you, Scotsman. But yeah, so it's kind of this weird sort of hazy area where it's like it's kind of the Wild West right now, but that's kind of the way that it can exist because there's sort of a version of this where we would have to start actively policing and trying to shut down mods and things like that, and to try to keep bad things from happening and keep a lot of control. And I think a lot of the mod community really thrives on not having a lot of top-down control. So I mean. So the opportunity is out there for people who want to mod the game. Please, feel free. We love the sort of the creativity that a lot of people have put into State of Decay mods in the past. But yeah, but there's not a lot that we can do to really directly support it.
I've seen a lot of weapon mods. Some of the weapons are pretty cool. That people have made.
So have people made brand new weapons, or have they unlocked dev only weapons?
They've basically taken a weapon that's in the game and then enhanced some of the stats and the clip that it can hold. So I think I saw a gun that had like 1,000 clip.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was quite impressive.
That's actually, I saw some folks who had modded a game. This was a video that was on YouTube a while back that I shared. That basically they had made all of the zombies ferals, and they had given themselves weapons. I think they were single-shot weapons, but with infinite ammo. And so everybody was just shooting constantly, and they were just ferals were spawning. There was no end to the spawning of ferals, and so everybody was just sort of gathering around, getting on top of things, and just firing into the crowd of ferals. And it was pretty entertaining. And that was definitely not something that we did.
That's one way to make the game harder. That's for sure. Just make everyone ferals.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
Terrifying.
We should keep that in mind actually as a potential way to do it. So it sounds like we're getting a lot of questions about weather again, and we get a lot of questions about whether we're going to add rain or snow.
Whether we're going to add weather.
Whether we can add weather exactly to the game, and the answer is kind of always the same: is that weather is more expensive than you might realize that it is. The higher the higher fidelity you make your world, the more you make it look up close, the more responsibility you have to really sell any weather effects that you put in. And so things like, if it's raining, well, shouldn't things be wet? Shouldn't things have puddles? If it's snowing, shouldn't we see accumulation? So it shouldn't more change than just an atmospheric effect and a lighting change. And then we've also got the day-night cycle, which so that changes the lighting over time. And then having something else like a cloudy rainstorm also affecting the lighting at the same time, it gets very, very, very complex. And there's a lot of ways for it to go wrong, a lot of ways for it to just become extremely expensive, especially when it comes to performance. Having effects that are filling the screen, things like rain and snow. You have to really kind of plan that into your resource budget from the outset, and it's just adding it in after the fact is going to be very costly. And so we haven't put any effort into trying to make weather happen so far because it's a very costly thing, and the benefit to the game would be largely cosmetic. Right now we haven't really worked out a really strong way for it to affect the gameplay. That doesn't mean we will never have anything that is weather-like or weather-ish in the game. But there's a few different ways that we could approach something like that. But we're definitely, for right now, we're not considering that to be a super high priority add because it would be very expensive and risky, and the benefit would be fairly small compared to other things we could do at that time. That's the thing, like opportunity cost is one of the big things you have to think about when you're deciding what features to put into a game, because, yeah, technically, if we spent the time and the effort and we really wanted to put weather into the game, we probably could, but that would take a lot of people's time that could be working on things like more difficult game modes or, things like that. Like stuff that people, I think, want more than they want weather. And so when we're sort of making our decisions about, what our team is going to spend our time on, we usually end up, weather ends up being pretty low down on the list compared to the other, gameplay benefits that folks want. Aha. So we've got about 3 minutes left. Are there any last comments that you'd like to make, Scotsman? And thank you, by the way, for doing this with us. Because
not a problem at all. It's been fun keeping them alive. I was going to throw the one question out, whether it's possible, but would it be feasible to make zombies faster at nighttime? To make nighttime a bit more dangerous?
That is an interesting question. I think that there might already be some subtle differences in the zombie populations at night. I think that Brian is the designer who knows the most about that, and so I'll make a note to ask him about that, because I don't know the details of that system, and so I'd hesitate to start talking about it too much, because I'm going to say something that's incorrect. But I'll check with him about that, because that is a good idea for ways to make it seem challenging, because making them faster, because people will often say, oh, well, why don't you add more zombies? And we're like, the number of zombies we have is the number of zombies we can have. Like we already tried our best to push the limit as far as we could without serious performance costs. But making them faster is a different story. So I'll write that down. No guarantees, of course, as always.
Do you have any last-minute questions we want to crank through here?
Take out the ability to repair cars. That was the scary thing with the first game. I like the limit on cars. That would be my one request.
Oh, you mean like if we took away the ability to repair cars or made?
Once they're destroyed, they're destroyed.
That would it would definitely make it a lot more like the original game. Make you care more about protecting that car that you're in. If it starts to smoke, you're like, I better get the sucker home. I'll never have it again. Let's see here. So Blaze Experience asks, is it something you're working on where a building that is already searched, that spawns an infestation won't have the yellow infestation tag, and you have to hover over it to find the infestation? I believe that I actually did see a bug go by us where we might have made some improvements to the way we report infestations on the map.
I know we did something. I don't know if it was that specific one, but yeah, I remember.
There was something that went through. Yep. I think I saw it on our future patch notes. So yeah, Blaze Experience, we are aware of that, and I believe that there is a fix in the hopper for the fact that it's very easy when you've explored the whole map to have infestations that you feel like you should know about not appearing on your. What was that? Did he just fire something straight over Scotsman's head?
He
threw it. I headshot him, and he threw Molotov at it, so it's really dead.
Nice.
Again.
So, Gotcha Rager asks, will any of you guys ever play with any of us low-tier streamers on Twitch and Mixer? First
I do.
Yeah, so yeah, Lewis does. He sometimes will watch people who have, one or two people watching them, and he'll jump in and join them. And, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there aren't any low tier streamers on Mixer or Twitch. I mean, I've got a Twitch channel that I'm lucky if a dozen people show up now and then. Mostly it's like 4 people watching me, and I'm not doing it because I'm intending to become like super popular and famous on Twitch. I just do it because it's fun, and because having people watching me means I have to be more talkative and analytical about the games I'm playing, which is really useful for my development as a designer. And so, yeah, so people who have only, a handful of followers, there's no reason, why we shouldn't show them the same kind of, respect we show, super awesome, popular folks like SurrealScotsman. So that said, I hesitate to throw the doors open to say, everybody come and join us, because that might be a lot of people, and it might just be like disappointing because we could not possibly get to everyone if there's a lot of interest. But if you are super, super interested in, in getting involved and, playing with one of us or another of us or something like that, I mean, chat with Megan, maybe that sort of thing would be possible. In some cases, but like I said, if there's a lot of interest in it, we probably will not get to hardly anyone, because we spend a very small amount of our time streaming the game and most of our time making the game, and we don't really have a lot of opportunities to arrange big sort of collab sessions like this one.
Need more juggernauts, man.
So yeah, so the thing that you'll need to do is if you want to talk to. If you're talking to Megan or somebody about the possibility of getting involved with a stream or with something like that, I mean you'll need to share your gamer tag and your Twitch ID or something with Megan. So chat with her and see what's possible. But again, I want to keep everyone's expectations very low. We don't get to do this very often, and so the chances of us if there's a lot of demand, the chances of us actually pulling it off are pretty slim, because we just don't have a ton of time. So I think we've actually run over time. In fact, there's a meeting I'm supposed to get to. So we'll probably need to shut it down. But thank you so much, Scotsman, for coming here and helping us out with this.
It's been a blast. No, I've had a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun running around like a headless chicken. Anytime, as they say.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back sometime. And then Lewis, also thank you for coming in and playing the game and sharing your expertise. And yeah, and that is us. So anybody who wants to join Scotsman, he's on Twitch as SurrealScotsman. So you got his Twitch channel right there. So please go and check out his stuff. We'd love to have you support him and see what he's doing. And in the meantime,
just one thing for Fallout Girl. We did find a Norma Fallout Girl, but it was destroyed. Sorry.
Oh.
it was already blown up.
All right. And then, of course, I'm Jeffrey Card, and this is Lewis Mohr, and we will see all of you later. Thanks.
Bye.
That was fun.